All right, we have an update on price movement and analysis on VeChain, that is VET-USD. As you can see, in the past 2 weeks, the market has moved very high from 0.022 all the way up to a top of almost 0.032. And this is the weekly chart I'm looking at right now. But if I switch to the daily, you can see we're starting to have a little bit of a drop off. And the question we're going to answer today is, where might VET be going next? Of course, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm not trained to give you financial advice. I'm simply trying to find patterns in the market. Do your own diligence yourself before taking any trades. Going back to the weekly chart, we had a trend line and a resistance line drawn. You can see on the weekly chart this trend line, which took into account the tops of these wicks from back in 2022, August 2022, and February of 23. When we extended that line to today's price action, we did this a couple of days ago, it gave us a target for where VET might go when it was rising. Okay, and so this is the trend line back on the daily chart. This is the trend line from the weekly, and you can see well, first of all, it did hit that price. It did hit the trend line, and there's been indecision since. Indecision is clearly seen when there's movement along the same line. It doesn't go too far up, doesn't go too far down. It's literally the price action is sitting on that very line. That means the market is content where it's at right now, and there has to be a decision made for the market to make another move. So we're in decision time. If I go back to the weekly chart, you can see this candle right here. It has a very long bottom wick, a very long top wick, and prices in the middle of the candle. Indecision. That's where we are right now on VET. Now, this resistance line was drawn also from a weekly standpoint, not really a weekly standpoint, but you can see it on the weekly chart. It is the top of the swing high back in February of 23. That's this lateral line right here. And the market, VET never made it up to that. Okay. So if I go back to the daily chart, let's look at some of this indecision we've got going on here. The market did not make it up to that resistance point. So that, if the market does move, is going to be the next spot it has to take out. It has to be, that's the next level it has to reach. And that's about 0.032. It's a big, long number, but it's right there. The swing high of February 23. But I'm going to draw a trend line that I see right here. And draw it from here. It makes it more visible. Look at that trend line. Taken into consideration as the market moved up on the daily chart, the bottoms of these candles. Okay, so that gives me an idea of, if the market starts to fall, or more so, if price goes below this trend line, that will give me an indication that at least in the short term, VET is going to fall lower. Now, it could hit this trend line and continue on higher and start taking out the highs. If you're long in crypto, which I am, that's a perfectly wonderful scenario. But if it starts falling out of this trend line, that's a good indication that at least in the short term, price is going to fall. Well, how far might it fall? Well, let's draw a Fibonacci level from the swing low there to the swing high here. Now, do you see what I did? I started at this swing low to the top of how high it's made it in the last few days. Okay, that gives me two very important levels at the 0.618 and the 0.382. There's something interesting to note about this Fibonacci. As I drew it, look how these levels are already respected as this price went up. Look at this 0.382 line. It is to the point at the top of this wick. It is to the point of where this day opened. It's almost to the point of where this day closed. So this range in this Fibonacci is matching very well to this rise in the market, this pattern. And this pattern can be seen with this Fibonacci levels. Even this line right here was greatly respected. And this is as the market was moving up. Right here, the open or the close and open of these 2 days, right there at that line. The bottom of this day was pretty much on that line, right at that trend line. So this is what we want to see. We're trying to make patterns of the chaotic data, and we do so with very quickly tools that we can put on the chart in 5 seconds and see if they work. Okay, so if I see price drop below this trend line, I'm going to look for it to hit this 0.618 level, which is about at 0.027, you can see on the right. And that will be perfectly fine. When you see a big run up in market price like this, for the market to come back down to 0.618 is perfectly healthy. It's a perfect retracement, no problems at all. If it does fall, it's a healthy fall and could very well continue on up to meet some of these highs. Now, if it falls below these levels, and certainly if it gets down to below this 0.382, that will be cause of great concern for longs in the crypto, because that will indicate that all this price action that had happened so far was basically some kind of fake out, and the market really wants crypto to be back down here. I don't think that could happen, but I certainly do not run the crypto markets, so it could. It very well could. Now, if the price does reach this 0.618 and bounces back up, I've already said it's got to take out this swing high, the swing high from February 2023, and then let's look real quick. Let's give it one more level. Going back to the weekly. Yeah, there we go. Look where I'm about to draw this resistance here. I'm going to draw it right here. That's at the top of this wick and the top of this wick. And then I would give it one more right there. Yeah, I like those. So those are the next two prices I would expect that it's going to have to take out. It'll have to take this swing from February 23, the tops of the wicks from earlier in 22, and the tops of these wicks earlier in 22, which is about 0.034. And that will be a good run up. So, summary, market is at a decision point right now. VET needs to decide if it's going up to respect this trend line or going to fall out of this trend line where it will make a new pattern. And we would look for it to find some kind of bounce here at 0.618 before hopefully continuing up. And if it falls below this line, we'll have to check back again. So do so. I'll keep you updated on the price.